No parking. In the garden, Dougal had decided that only authorised parking would be allowed, and they'll have to pay. He shouted into a loudspeaker, "Parking here, park your car here, parking here, put your money in the slot, and if they don't, they'll be towed away." The sign was very confusing. One side, parking, the other, no parking. "This could be fun," said Dougal, laughing. "I'm a fiend." Florence met Mr. Rusty, and they said hello to each other. Zebedee arrived. "Ready, then?" "As always," said Florence. Dougal was waiting for his first victim. It was Dylan. "I'll bet he stops." Dougal shouted into the loudspeaker, "Park your car here! Parking! Parking!" No one can resist a good place to park, so Dylan parked. The sign changed. "No parking, you're under arrest." Ermentrude was next. "No parking, no parking." "All right, dear, I heard you." "You are illegal," said Dougal. "I only stopped for a moment," said Ermentrude. "That's what they all say. You're under arrest." "I demand to see my lawyer," said Ermentrude, rising into the air with great determination. "It's an outrage." She crashed down to earth again. Dougal was enjoying himself immensely. "What does that rabbit think he's doing?" Dylan failed to stifle a yawn. "He's up to no good, I can tell. He's up to no good." The sign turned. "Park here! You may park here!" said the loudspeaker to Brian. "Please park here!" "What a nice notice!" Dougal laughed. "Parking?" "Don't think so," said Brian, leaving. Florence arrived in a very elegant limousine and paid her parking fee, 2 lumps of sugar. "Are you parked, Dylan?" Dylan woke up. What, man? Oh, this is comfortable. I'll take this." "You can't do that. Put that sign back at once, you rabbit, you. Is nothing sacred?" "You're very naughty, Dougal," said Florence. "But I did put some sugar in the box." "What? Put it down. Put that down." "What, man?" Dylan yawned and went back to sleep. "You know, I think that rabbit could sleep on the M1, said Dougal. Dylan's Dream. Dylan was sleeping, a bit restlessly, and dreaming of carrots and other delights, when Dougal came along. If there was a sleeping contest, this rabbit would win. "Better get up," said Dylan, yawning. "What we need in the garden is a rabbit-chasing dog. I'm too kind-hearted." "Our friend?" "Yes? Is it daylight yet?" "Is it what?" "Daylight. Everything seems to be dark. Are you sure it's not still like the middle of the night?" "I'm absolutely positive. I've been up for hours." Dylan thought about this. Then there must be some explanation. "Try opening your eyes." Florence met Zebedee. "Lovely day." "You are a comfort," said Zebedee. "I know," said Florence. Dougal was pondering the problem of Dylan. "Perhaps I could get him drummed out of the Rabbits' Union for idleness and non-devotion to duty. I don't think I've seen him leaping about and nibbling grass." "Hello, Dougal," said Florence. Dylan still had his problem. If it's dark, it must be night, and if it's night, I should be sleeping." "Made any progress?" Dougal asked. Don't speak, man. At this time of night you shouldn't be here. Brian came along to complicate matters. Before we get embroiled in snails, said Dougal, may I suggest you lift your ears and let in the light? It's a great idea, man, but they appear to be like stuck in this position. Brian had brought a boat. That's a great help, said Dougal. I'm going boating, said Brian. No, you're not. You're staying here and helping us. Oh, anything you say, old martinet. Hello, Rabbit. This isn't getting us anywhere, said Florence. We must unstick Dylan's ears. Why? Said Dougal. At least he's quiet like that. Dylan was saddened by their lack of sympathy. I give you music, friends. Will you not give me help? What a heart-rending speech, said Dougal. I'm rent, said Brian. Yes, you would be. I have never known anyone so gullible as you. I'm not gullible, I'm a snail. But suddenly there was a dramatic change in the situation. Dylan's ears unstuck. Daylight, oh, comfort and joy, like joy. Perhaps, said Dougal, we can now get on with life. I shall sing you a song of life and light. And Dylan started to snore. Oh, Dylan, said Florence. Let sleeping rabbits lie, said Dougal. I'm off, said Brian. But Florence and Dougal noticed that Brian's boat came adrift from Brian's trailer. Oh, a life on the ocean wave, said Dylan. Let's leave, said Dougal. Dylan was ecstatic. I never realized before the pleasure of messing about in boats. It makes bed seem somehow tame and adds a new dimension to sleep. The Rainbow. Florence called Zebedee, who was hiding. I was hiding, he said. Yes, I noticed. You hide very well. Well, that's my light at a peep, as they say in Scotland. Shall we go? Said Florence. In the garden, Dougal had something to show her. Take a look at this. This? Don't hit it. It's a precision instrument. Oh, a rainbow, said Florence. And it was. There's just one thing, said Dougal. How many colours? Florence counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Exactly. It's wrong. Should be 7. Someone has been tampering. Which colour is missing? Green. Imagine a rainbow without green. Dougal was right. The green was missing. What shall we do? Said Florence. It's a problem. Got a bit of green about you? But Florence said she hadn't. Seems a pity. People can't leave things alone, said Dougal. Of course, I have my suspicions. Mr. McHenry came along to have a look at the rainbow, and when they told him the green was missing, he had another look, and was forced to agree. Do you think he took it? Hissed Dougal. He uses a lot of green. Mustn't linger, said Mr. McHenry to Florence. Ask him. Mr. McHenry? Yes? Ask him quickly, said Dougal. Trap him. You ask him. What are you whispering about? Said Mr. McHenry. Nothing, said Dougal, except green. I deny it, said Mr. McHenry, and he left very fast, denying it. Methinks the gardener doth protest too much. You have a lovely turn of phrase, Dougal. I know. And they both left. They found Dillon with a strange machine. What is it? Said Florence. A rainbow painter, ma'am. Rainbow painter? Paints rainbows. Works like this. The machine made some rather strange noises. Does the Met Office know about this? Said Dougal. Dillon pushed a button. One rainbow. The machine made a big sloshing noise and painted a black rainbow. Oh my, said Dillon. Very effective, said Dougal. Dillon looked, played a little tune in praise of the night he had created, and decided to go to sleep. Like good night. Well, yes, said Florence. Better go to bed, I suppose. Good night. Isn't it marvellous, said Dougal. Black everything out without so much as a by your leave and then go to bed. I have heard of double British summertime, but this is madness. Madness! Mushroom. Florence said hello to Mr. Rusty. And hello to you. Seen Zebedee? Said Florence just as Zebedee arrived. I trust I find you well, said Zebedee. Why shouldn't we be? Dougal was waiting. Hello, said Florence. Mr. McHenry arrived, very excited about something. Hello, said Florence. I've seen mushrooms growing in the garden. Too, I've seen marvellous. How lovely. I'm going to look for some more, said Mr. McHenry, and he left to look for some more. And so shall we, said Florence. We, said Dougal. If you think I'm picking mushrooms at my time of life, you're off your head. Florence took no notice. I'll trouble you to take notice. And anyway, there aren't any mushrooms. Not a single mush. You may be right. Come on. And anyway, a mushroom hunt is a dodgy business. Say we find toadstools in our innocence. The dreaded death cap, for instance, or the false blusher. You do go on, Dougal, said Florence, still searching. You won't be told, will you? Said Dougal testily. No, I won't. They came across something which looked like a mushroom, but it was only Dillon. Greetings, mortals. See what I have here. Mushrooms, a great delicacy. Having spoken, Dillon went to sleep and started to snore. I have to admit, that rabbit's right, said Dougal. Fungus abounds. I would prefer you not to pick mine, said Dillon, waking. Oh, no, we wouldn't. Find us as, like keepers. You'll be lucky, said Dougal. What did he say? Said Florence. Nothing, said Dougal. I'll just pick one, said Florence. Gracious, look at this. I'd rather not. I think you've disturbed the balance of nature. Florence was intrigued. She picked another, and that got bigger too. I think you are toying with forces you don't understand. They are magic, said Florence prophetically, and she poured some water over it. Well, that wouldn't be much good on toast, would it? Suddenly the mushroom changed into a parasol. Eek, said Dougal. Magic, breathed Florence. It's against nature. Someone has been tampering. Florence looked at the parasol, which surprisingly started to grow. I wash my paws of the whole affair. But Florence was delighted. Dillon, in his own way, was guarding his mushroom. yawning and slurping. "Look, Dillon," said Florence. "Now they'll coo over that for hours, I suppose," thought Dougal, and left. Florence gave the parasol to Dillon as a present. "Ah, thank you, ma'am." "You're welcome." Just what I needed, ma'am." Zebedee arrived. "All happy here? We've been picking a few mushrooms," said Florence. "Sounds a bit dull," said Zebedee. "About as dull as a forest fire," said Dougal. "What with one thing and another." And they left, thereby missing certain happenings. Flower of the Sun. Florence was reading. Dougal coughed. Then he coughed again. "Got a cold, Dougal?" "No." "Oh." "Reading, are you?" "Yes, I'm reading about flowers that grow on Mars. It says here there's flowers there." "I would very much doubt that from what I've heard." "See for yourself." Florence threw the book in Dougal's direction. "Well, there's no need to throw it, hoity-toity. Let me see. Fresh evidence shows that there may be flowers on the planet Mars. What a pity it may never be proved." "Never be proved." Great oaths. "What do you mean, Dougal?" "Nothing." "No one can go to Mars," said Florence. "That's where you're wrong, smarty breeks. I intend to go." He went to see Mr. McHenry. "Can I help you?" said Mr. McHenry. Just clean out a flower pot or two. I shall be back soon with some plants from Mars." "Your mother's?" "The planet Mars." "Oh, the planet Mars." "Don't wait up," said Dougal. "What an extraordinary dog," said Mr. McHenry. "A-OK," said Dougal, and he took off in his rocket. Aboard the rocket, all was going as well as could be expected. Florence asked Dillon if he'd seen the launch, and Dillon said he hadn't. "Really?" I was not informed, ma'am." Florence was worried. "Don't worry, ma'am. That dog is indestructible." The indestructible dog had arrived on Mars. Now, what have I come for? Oh, yes, Mars flowers. The things I do in the cause of science. "I claim the planet for Queen Elizabeth II. Lovely lady. Now, better have a look around, I suppose." Dougal looked through the window and the door and then got out. "If there are any flowers here, I'm a snail. Still better be intrepid, I suppose. It's expected of one." So Dougal intrepidly started to explore. "Anyone about?" Dougal had a good look about for the Mars flower, but he couldn't see it anywhere. In fact, he couldn't see anything. Funny place. Better use my patent plant detector, I suppose. Dougal started to hum and put the plant detector down. "Right, detect something, you." The detector detected something and beeped. "Well, I'm not staying here much longer. Flowers are no flowers. What's that rumbling?" There was a screech and a bag appeared. "Oh, a native. I shall capture him or her." So Dougal set off back with his capture. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Florence was waiting. Look, ma'am." There was a tremendous noise as the rocket arrived and landed. "Are you all right, Dougal?" said Florence. "A pinpoint landing, I see," said Dougal. "Any flowers?" said Florence. "Typical. I fly 34 million miles and not even one cup of tea when I get back. Nothing then. I've got a small native. Oh, it looks like the sandwich bag you took with you, said Florence. Ask for his passport, said Dougal. Dylan, hairdresser. Brian was waiting for Dougal, who seemed to be in a hurry. Oh, I got up so late this morning I don't know whether I'm coming or going, said Dougal. You're going, old speedy mate. I've got a million things to do, and I've not had time to put a comb through my hair yet. Looks like it, said Brian. Bit shaggier than usual, if that's possible. What? Choose your words, snail. It's true, you could do with having your bonnet trimmed. What a vulgar expression. I'm a vulgar snail. You can say that again, said Dougal. Get your hair cut, said Brian. I will if I can find someone sufficiently sensitive, someone who realizes that I don't want just a quick top and tail. In short, an artiste. Florence met Mr. Rusty, and they passed the time of day. Lovely day, said Florence. Beautiful, said Mr. Rusty. Like you. Thank you. Zebedee arrived. Late as usual, said Florence. You'll make me cry, said Zebedee. No, I won't. Florence looked for Dougal and couldn't see him anywhere. I wonder where he is. She saw something. Never seen that before. I wonder what it is. There was a noise. Florence stopped and was amazed to see Dylan apparently working. Why, Dylan! Ma'am, welcome to my hairdressing boutique. Welcome. Are you comfortable, sir? Sir was Dougal. Don't disturb the curlers, sir, until I use the setting lotion. Curlers? Said Florence aghast. Setting lotion? Sir, you must really keep still, or all my efforts are ruined. Dylan looked in the mirror. Ruined? Ruined? Ruined like, ruined. Pardon me. Florence had never seen Dylan like this. He seemed quite agitated and distraught. Perhaps you'd care to look, sir? Sir looked. Can't see anything, said Dougal. One needs to remove the towel, said Dylan. If you'll just wait a minute, I'll take it off. Don't you dare. Florence pretended not to know who it was and said, hello, very politely. Hello, said Dougal. And Florence waited for something to happen, and something happened all right, for at that moment Dylan removed the towel and ran. Where are you going? Asked Dougal. You haven't finished yet, you rabbit, you. Florence found herself losing control. How do I look? Said Dougal. Chic. Elegant? That's what I was promised. Have a look. So Dougal looked. What's that sheep doing there? Oh, it's me. It's me. I'll sue him. I'll bury his guitar. You wait till I find him. I'll make him rue the day he set foot in this garden. Savage. Got yourself a hairdresser? You could hairdress a football. Come back. A starry night. Dougal and Florence were up rather late one day and wondering where all the stars had gone. Do you think it's cloudy? Said Florence. That would be the simple explanation, said Dougal. What do you mean? Well, you never know in this place, do you? I expect someone switched them off. Oh, can you do that? Can you do it? Of course you can do it. Oh, I didn't know. The ignorance. I didn't come here to be insulted, said Florence. Oh, hoity-toity, said Dougal. And anyway, I'm not sure you're right. Have you ever known me to be wrong? Florence looked at him. Well, about basic, well-known things like stars, I mean. I may have made little errors in the past about minor matters. I'm only human, you know. But you're not human. Well, if you're going to get personal, you can go and look at the stars with someone else. I won't care. And he got all huffy. No need to get all huffy, said Florence. Who's huffy? I'm never huffy. I only said you weren't human, and you get huffy. I thought we came to look at the stars, said Dougal huffily. So they counted the stars, which had come out during the argument, and found there was still quite a lot missing. Quite a lot missing, said Dougal darkly. Someone has been tampering. So they counted them again. I make it one short now, said Dougal. I wonder where it is, said Florence. Dillon arrived. I found the craziest thing over there. Over where? Said Dougal. Over where? Why, over there, man, craziest thing you ever saw. I presume eventually he'll tell me what it is. But Dillon said he'd show them what it was. And it was the missing star, come down into the garden for a change of scene. It's a bit dark, isn't it? Said the star sweetly. Well, what do you expect, said Dougal. You're supposed to be up there shining away, on strike, I suppose. It's very pretty, said Florence. Thank you. You may call me Estelle. Estelle? Well, it should have been Stella, but I changed it because I think Estelle is much more suitable these days, don't you? Any star who is anyone is called Estelle. I don't know what this garden's coming to, said Dougal. I really don't. Oh, you, said Florence. Oh, I feel like lighting up, said the star. Back to work, I hope, said Dougal. I wish I was a star, said Florence, sighing. The exhibition. Florence was waiting for Zebedee, who arrived. I'm a bit late because I was trying to get a ticket for the exhibition. What exhibition? The one in the garden, the one everyone has been talking about. It's very difficult to get a ticket, so I shouldn't bother to go if I were you. You won't be able to get in, then you'll be disappointed. Oh, you are infuriating, said Florence. Of course I shall get in. Dougal and the others were waiting. Hello, said Florence brightly. Got your ticket, said Dougal, laughing. Very difficult to get in without a ticket, you know. Got a ticket? Oh, Dougal. Dillon told Florence she didn't have to have a ticket. Do I have to have a ticket? Said Ermentrude. No, ma'am. Anyone with a tail gets in free, so you qualify. When you're all quite finished, said Dougal. And they all went to the exhibition, which Florence had been asked to open. I declare this exhibition open. Very prettily done, said Dougal. It was an exhibition of pictures. How lovely, said Florence. Dougal looked at a portrait of Brian. Not quite the one I would have chosen. Anagoni's latest, I presume. Brian looked at a picture of a carrot. What delicate brushwork. That'll look good in my kitchen. Ermentrude looked at the Mona Lisa. This one seems familiar. Is it you, Florence dear? They looked at Brian's portrait. "A very good likeness," said Ermentrude. "Has it caught the essential me?" "Nothing's essential about you," said Dougal. They looked around some more. Brian and Dillon admired the carrot picture as connoisseurs. "4 carrots in a fog," said Dougal, laughing. "Look over here," said Ermentrude. My effort, ma'am." "I may sue," said Ermentrude. I like it," said Brian. "You like anything," said Dougal. "Well, I think they're all lovely," said Ermentrude. "Don't you?" "Yes," they said, even though Dougal had some doubts about Brian's portrait, and said so. And they all had doubts about another portrait. For some reason it seemed a little familiar, although they couldn't place the face. "What I want to know," said Dougal, "is what she's laughing at." "She's smiling," said Florence. "Well, I think she's got a very funny look in her face," said Dougal, "and I wouldn't want to meet her in the garden after dark, I can tell you that. Come to think of it, I wouldn't want to meet anything in the garden after dark." The Moody Concerto. Florence called to Zebedee. "You called, madam, and I arrive. Your wish is my command, as they say." And he did a little twirl. "I'm in good twirling form today. Want to do anything special? Trip to the moon, round the world, visit the garden?" "The garden, I think." "Ah, I think you're wise. Shall we go?" And they went. Florence greeted Dougal. "Oh, I'm glad you've arrived," he said. "I'm having a terrible time today. I can't tell you what it's like here. Listen, if you can bear to, because I can't." Florence listened to Dillon and Brian playing music. "That has been going on since I got up. I'm thinking of suing someone, if it's only the BBC." "But who is it?" "Who do you think? It's that rabbit and that snail, great clumps." "Silence!" It seems we are not appreciated, snail friend," said Dillon. "I think you're right, maestro," said Brian. Dillon tried again, but it wasn't very good. "Dillon," said Florence. "Ma'am, I'm trying to interpret this very difficult music, and I must ask you not to interrupt." "Oh." "Cheek," said Dougal. "He's an artiste," said Brian, "and so am I." "You're about as artistic as a bottle of red cabbage, and not nearly so pretty." "Oh, come on, I'll give you a hand." So Dougal showed them how to do it until Florence could stand it no longer. "You must have the music upside down." Dougal was deeply humiliated. "I'll never get into the proms now, and I was looking forward to giving them Land of Hope and Glory and a snatch of the 1813. "I can't read music anyway," said Brian, while Florence turned the music round. Then they played again. "If that's the food of love, I'm not hungry," said Dougal. Pancakes. Florence asked Mr. Rusty if Zebedee had arrived yet, and Mr. Rusty said he hadn't. "Oh," said Florence, and Zebedee arrived. "I hear tales of cooking in the garden. Now, let me see, have I got everything? Oh dear, people come to plague me," said Dougal. "We haven't come to plague you," they said. "We are spectators." "Oh, joy." "What are you making, old cooker?" said Brian. pancakes. You're lovely. Florence read the recipe. Has it got lettuce in it? Said Brian. Don't think so, said Florence. No lettuce? How rotten. Will someone silence that mollusk? Now, where am I? I don't think you often have lettuce and pancakes, do you? Said Mr. Rusty reasonably. I do, said Brian. Invariably. Or cabbage. What next? Said Dougal. Milk, said Florence. Well, yes, I'm waiting for the milk, aren't I? Just then Ermyntrude arrived. About time, said Dougal. Herbs, said Florence. I'm waiting for those too. The herbs arrived. Here we are, said Mr. McHenry. Essence of herb, straight from the garden. Well, perhaps I can get on now. Yes, I think you probably can, said Florence. And Dylan said he'd play some pancake music to help things along. Dylan played for a while, then, overcome, he fell asleep and started snoring. Dougal stirred, and Ermyntrude added milk, and Dougal stirred again. Dylan, refreshed, played on. Stir, man, stir. Mr. McHenry added essence of herb. This can be very tiring, said Dougal. When are we going to, eat, man? Florence cooked the first one. Careful, said Mr. Rusty. Don't burn yourself. Now toss the pancake in the air. That's the right way. So Florence tossed the pancake. Bravo, said Ermyntrude. My turn, said Dougal. But Dylan got there first, and the pancake landed on Brian. Suits you, snail, said Dougal, giggling. I'm a failure, man. Yes, you are. Hit me right on the bonce. Are you implying my pancakes are heavy? I make the lightest pancakes in the world. In the trade, they're known as Dougal's Delights. A picnic. Is this the day we're going to have our picnic? Said Mr. Rusty. Yes, it is, said Florence. Have you got everything? Everything? For the picnic? Ah, yes, the picnic, said Mr. Rusty, and he went away mumbling. They waited for him. I hope you've remembered the corkscrew, said Zebedee, but if that's all you forget, it should be a great success. Off you go. So they went. Dougal was ready for the picnic. Got everything? Corkscrew? No one ever remembers a corkscrew. Well, we've remembered, said Florence. And a tablecloth. I'm not eating off the bare ground, you know. I've got a tablecloth. Damask. None of your plastic. Oh, come on. Mr. Rusty wasn't sure they'd remembered everything. I feel sure there's something. I've remembered the salt and pepper, said Brian. I'm the most useful and resourceful of snails, you must admit. All together now, for he's a jolly good fellow. That'll do, Brian, said Florence. Sorry. Will here do, said Florence. Any ants, said Dougal. I can't abide an ant. We're not all here yet, said Mr. Rusty, waving the corkscrew. Ermyntrude arrived. I love a picnic. It's so lovely eating out of doors. What is she on about? Said Dougal. She always eats out of doors. It's a well-known habit of cows eating out of doors. I bet no one's remembered a corkscrew, said Ermyntrude, and salt and pepper. Oh, yes, we have, said Mr. Rusty and Brian. So there. Dylan arrived. I've brought these cushions for the picnic because I feel everyone should be comfortable, man. Comfort is very important at picnics." Mr. McHenry had brought all sorts of useful things like knives and forks and spoons and plates and vases of flowers and placemats. "No finger bowls," said Dougal. Brian and Mr. Rusty started to lay the table, helped by Ermyntrude and watched by Dillon. Florence took the cushions. "Nearly ready," said Dillon. "Then I'll arrive." "Looks very pretty," said Brian, and Dougal and Florence agreed, and so did Mr. Rusty and Ermyntrude. "Very pretty," they said. "Just one thing. Did anyone bring any, food?" "Food?" said Mr. McHenry. "I don't think I can bear it," said Dougal. And they all realized they had forgotten to bring the food. "We're all soppy," said Brian. "No one can possibly realize how humiliated I feel," said Dougal. Nighttime jumping. Dougal found Dillon fast asleep with his mouth open and snoring. This disturbed Dougal's sensibility, and he decided that it must not go on. "Nice day," he shouted. "Ah, man, you had your mouth open." "For a reason, Cookie." "What reason?" And Dillon explained about the jumping beans and how he slept with his mouth open in case they jumped up. "That's lazy, Dillon. That's sense, man." Dougal looked at the beans. "They look like fleas to me." "I don't eat fleas." "They jump, do they? Haven't got any jumping sugar, have you?" Dillon said that he didn't. "Pity," said Dougal. The beans started jumping. Boing, boing. And suddenly there was Zebedee. "How are the beans?" "Jumping, man, jumping." And Zebedee got very interested in the beans, and so did Dillon, and so did Dougal. So interested, in fact, that they forgot they were to meet Florence. But Florence didn't mind waiting. At least she said she didn't. "So sorry," murmured Zebedee. Meanwhile the beans continued to amuse. "What are they?" said Florence. Beans, man." "She's not a man," said Dougal. "Do they do that all the time?" "No," said Mr. McHenry. "Not all the time. They only jump when it's light. Don't jump in the dark. Well-known fact." Dillon looked sad. "What's the matter?" said Florence. And Dillon explained that as the beans only jumped when it was light, and it always seemed to be dark when he was asleep, he'd never get any beans to eat. Well, back to the carrots, man," said Dougal. "Carrots are very good for you," said Florence, "even if they aren't as interesting as jumping beans." And she asked Zebedee if she could take some of the beans to show the others. "Of course," said Zebedee. "You are very kind," said Florence. Dillon, sculptor. "How much longer?" said Dougal. "I've got a crick in my neck, my left front foot's gone to sleep, and my nerves are jangling. Nearly finished, man. Have you caught the essential me?" For Dillon was making a sculpture of Dougal. "I wouldn't want anyone to see it before it's finished. Do you think that do not disturb notice will keep them away?" Meanwhile, Florence and Mr. Rusty were talking. "What do you think of the international situation?" said Florence. "I try not to. Very wise. I wonder where Zebedee is." And they called him, and he arrived. There's something creative going on in the garden, he said. Ooh, said Florence. Oh, said Ermyntrude. Oh, I can't begin to tell you what's going on here. Try. Have a guess. Go on. You've jumped over the moon, said Mr. Rusty. Silly thing. I don't do that any more. And she went to see how Dougal's sculpture was coming on. Please, ma'am, I'm not finished yet. We'll let you know, said Dougal. It's not finished yet. They are going to let us know, said Ermyntrude. Oh, the excitement of it all. Tra-la. What? Said Florence. Secret. Dylan carried on working. 7 inches. Wow. What do you mean, wow? Said Dougal. It's just like I have to rethink the nose, man, is 7 inches across. Like, wow, that's an epic nose. Wow. It's nothing. Hello, hello, said Brian, much to Dylan's fury. He had to have silence while he was working, he said. So zip your screamer, said Dougal rather coarsely. Oh, said Brian, did you hear that? The train arrived. Dylan was in despair. Anyone want to go anywhere? Said the train. I just want silence, said Dylan, slightly hysterically. You've upset him now, said Dougal. Well, I don't know, I'm sure. Open your mouth and you get your funnel bitten off. I've never seen anything like it in all my puff. Mr. McHenry arrived, noisily, unfortunately. Sorry. And Dylan said he really didn't know what he was doing any more. Doesn't look like it, said Dougal. Hello, all, said Mr. McHenry as he saw the others. Dylan lost control. He's lost control, said Dougal. Who's not to be disturbed? Said Mr. Rusty. I can't go on, said Dylan. I can't. Something went on. I've got something to say, said the clay statue. It's like time for bed, babies. Dylan Sleepwalker. Dylan woke up and began to think about his life. Like, where am I going? Is it true what they say? Do I sleep too much? Dougal was having a little think as well. Now, where's that rabbit? It's got to stop. The time has come, definitely. I don't think I've ever once seen him leaping about like a rabbit. And what about all this hole digging he's supposed to do? Not one single hole dug in years. He's getting rabbits a bad name. That's what he's doing. Now, I'm as tolerant as the next dog, but it's got to stop. He'll be growing his hair next and voting Liberal. Dylan's worries about his life were making him walk in his sleep. When he woke up and found himself on his feet, he got more worried than ever. I'm cracking up. Oh, my, what shall I do? You have a problem, little furry mate, said Brian. I can tell by your nose. You leave my nose out of this, said Dougal. Zebedee asked what the matter was. That rabbit, said Dougal. He'll have to go. Dylan had decided that a few gentle exercises might be a good idea, and perhaps a little sprint. All he needs is a little exercise, said Zebedee. He should get a dog. Oh, what am I saying? He went to see Florence, who was doing a few exercises too. They're worried about Dylan. Oh, I'd better go and see then. Dylan was still at it, swimming, using a stool instead of water, even though water would have been less hazardous. Now, what do you mean about my nose? Said Dougal. Well, when you get worried, it twitches, said Brian. Florence asked Dylan if he thought the exercises were doing him any good. Do you feel any better?" "Ma'am, I feel dreadful. I'm beginning to think a person shouldn't try to change his natural way of life. And with me, sleeping is in, exercise is out, out, out." "Now listen," said Dougal. "Oh, man, spare me. Can I help it if I'm naturally, lazy?" "Now listen," said Dougal. But Dillon didn't. "He's running," said Dougal. "You know, it's time for bed," said Zebedee. "I could do with a sleep," said Dougal. "Touché," said Dillon. Spaghetti Party. Florence met Mr. Rusty. "Oh, you've brought me some flowers," he said. "How very touching. I'm sorry they're for someone else." "Ah, I knew they were. I was only joking. Who are they for, then?" "Dillon." "Flowers for Dillon," said Zebedee. "He needs flowers." "He's invited me to a party," said Florence. Dougal was invited too. "I wonder what's cooking." "Greetings, guests," said Dillon. "What's cooking?" said Florence. It's a surprise, ma'am. I hope you're going to like it." Florence gave Dillon the flowers. "For you." "Oh, why, ma'am, you shouldn't have bothered." I didn't bother," said Dougal. "It's the thought, Dougal," said Florence. "Well, I thought I wouldn't bother." I'm here," said Brian. "Oh, bully," said Dougal. "Ermyntrude," called Florence. "Here, dear heart." "Hello," said Florence. "Oh, I am looking forward to this. I'm so hungry." "She'll eat it all," hissed Dougal. "Do I hear a little doggy voice? Speak up, dear boy." "Yes," said Dougal. "You're frightened I'm going to eat too much, aren't you, silly Billy?" Dillon said everything was ready, and he hoped they'd like it. "I wonder what it is," said Florence. "Ready?" said Brian. "Surely," said Dillon. "Goody," said Brian. "Moo," said Ermyntrude. Dillon hoped they weren't expecting anything too grand. "Is this the place in the Good Food Guide?" said Dougal with a laugh. Ermyntrude asked Brian if he'd take her in to dinner. "Delighted." "Help yourselves," said Dillon. "Isn't he sweet?" said Ermyntrude. Dougal inspected everything. "I wonder if there's pudding," said Ermyntrude to Brian. "I wonder if there's pudding," said Florence to Dougal. Dillon asked them to sit down, so they did. "Not carrots, I hope," hissed Dougal. "Ready, men?" said Dillon. "Hope it's carrots," said Brian. "Do you?" said Ermyntrude. But it wasn't carrots. It was spaghetti. Florence tried some. "Delicious." Dougal tried it. "Good?" said Dillon. "Very," said Florence. Brian started to slurp noisily. "Really?" said Dougal. "Any more?" said Brian. "I can spare a little," said Ermyntrude.